I'm a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for what's right. Welcome to the Hateful Geeks, brother. I'm one of your many hosts, Phil.
This is Sweeney.
And this is Tim.
And this week we're grabbing our cheap skin bronzer and male enhancement testosterone so that we can talk about wrestling. If you can smell what the geeks are cooking.
I like that you're singing. I like that you're singing "Real American" with a beer in your hand. It adds an extra level of class.
Extra level of American, you mean?
Yes, exactly.
This week on the Hateful Geeks, our resident wrestling aficionado, Mr. Tim, will be leading us through a review of the most recent wrestling extravaganza, WrestleMania, brother.
And I've also invited my buddy Dom onto the show here.
Hello.
So we can talk about wrestling.
Say hi, Dom.
He's so enthused.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, Dom.
I love wrestling.
Hi.
All right. So welcome back to the Hateful Geeks. Just a quick heads up. You're one of your resident geeks, myself, Phil. I am not a wrestling aficionado. I do not know much about wrestling. I know Tim's a huge fan. Sweeney, where are you in the spectrum of wrestling these days?
I'm more on I watched as a kid and then fell out growing up.
The sane spectrum.
Yeah,
otherwise.
the sane
what we
spectrum.
call that, yeah.
Normal, maybe?
I mean, I like that Andy, our other guy who watched wrestling as an adult, is not here today for reasons.
Reasons. Andy will not be joining us for this show. So those of you tuning in to see Andy, all one of you, he's not with us tonight.
Hi, Andy's mom. Hi. Hi.
Andy's mom. She's probably in wrestling.
Andy's mom has got it going on.
No.
No.
Sorry, Andy's mom. You're really cool, but no, you don't. Anyway, so yeah, it is three of the main geeks and our guest Dom. And so, gentlemen, WrestleMania. Which WrestleMania was this, Tim?
This was 34.
This was WrestleMania New Orleans.
Yes.
Oh wait.
So
they don't go by
underwater.
They don't go by the numbers anymore.
Yeah. Do you want to immediately dive into the minutia of the insanity of Vince McMahon, or do we save that for when it gets dark?
How about you guys give us, for those of us who are not into the greased up male soap operas of today, how about you give us an idea of where is the wrestling universe today? Paint me a picture of the setting of where we are before WrestleMania 30, whatever the fuck.
I don't even know where to begin.
I don't want a fucking history lesson, Tim. Just tell me, is the NWO still in business? Have they actually created a new world order?
No. There is an argument to be made.
There could be. Where I was going to start was every generation. This is a tiny bit of a history lesson, and I'm sorry.
Shit.
Every generation has their big wrestler: Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Sure,
Rock,
John Cena. This generation, WWE is pushing down Roman Reigns, and the crowd does not like him.
Wait, because his name is Roman Reigns?
Because he's a terrible wrestler. And
so wait. His technique is bad, or is his intro music shitty?
So
yes,
with Roman Reigns is he's very, very complicated in that way. He's a dude similar to John Cena who was kind of pushed a lot to a degree that really upset people. And typically in wrestling, there's a formula when that happens. It happened with The Rock. The exact same thing happened with The Rock. Good-looking guy comes in. He's got a lot of athletic talent from a wrestling family. Seems like he should be the best. And then the company is like, all right, cool, you're going to be our top good guy. And immediately the fans revolt. They don't want that. They want guys that are real guys that fucking pay their dues. And typically they just turn him heel. And that's what happened with The Rock. And then The Rock got super popular because he was so good at being a bad guy. And with Roman Reigns, just because of Vince McMahon's need to prove that he's right, just keeps nope, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And that just only makes the crowd hate him more and more and more. So I think he's pretty good. I don't love him.
He says with a high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty. He's good at he's good, pretty good. He's pretty good. I can't look at his. Don't look in his eyes. Don't look in his eyes.
So if I could translate this to a layman, like a political allegory, Vince McMahon is Donald Trump and Roman Reigns is Huckabee. I swear to God, I did a good job.
Roman Reigns is the greasy. Wait, that's all of them. Never mind.
No, I mean, go on.
He's like the dark black hair.
Yeah.
He does look with like and he's got bleach in part of it, right?
No, that's a
No.
different dude. And he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a different dude.
No,
He has like a goatee or a beard.
He's like the
he does have a
pre-power up
goatee, yeah.
fucking mushroom version of.
and he wears
Roman
like the
Reigns.
leather cut off zip
Oh,
up.
Yes.
Okay.
And now that I'm thinking a little bit more,
If you're
like,
just joining us, we're talking about leathery, sweaty, oily men.
if you've skipped ahead,
Wrastling.
It's, what?
I just want to
thought-
say that I expected this to be the conversation.
you this might kind of tilt you. I don't know if this will or not actually,
Tilt,
but
like you're gonna fucking trigger me. Hold on a
Yeah.
second, let me get my triggered face on.
so every wrestler has a signature move and then a finishing move, and one of Roman Reigns' signature move is the Superman punch.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck him. No. No.
And he
Is he
even does the
Kryptonian?
thing where he punches the mat and cocks his gun. Yes.
What? Like he
Does
actually does
this,
like a
yes.
jerks off his forearm?
Yes.
How
Before
the
he
fuck do you like wrestling, Tim?
Well, I mean, some have good finishing moves. Well, I think in like wrestling in Japan, the wrestler that has the Phoenix Down move.
Oh, the One Wing Angel,
Yeah,
The
well, it
Kenny-
was called
Kenny
Phoenix
Omega.
Down.
Kenny Omega. And I mean you also have the knee to the head that I
Mhm.
showed you.
Yep, that thing was nuts.
Yeah.
Japanese wrestling, man. That's where it's at. I
Does
don't
anyone
mean the
actually get, like,
anime
Their
like
heart ripped
boiled
out of
up.
the rib cage.
Probably.
Like Kalimon.
Kalimon, yeah.
Kalimon.
There's a period in the 90s.
There was a period in the 90s where that could have happened.
I like the backyard wrestling.
Yeah.
See, I'm just trying to find all the little niches here and there.
That,
You-
that
you
kinda-
said-
that make me giggle.
Yeah.
You said backyard wrestling and wrestling. I immediately looked up to see if you had any lights with light tubes. I'm like, we could fucking do it, actually.
Yeah.
Let's break some light tubes.
Right. Because that's a thing. Well, the main event was Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar,
Okay,
who,
I like
who
Brock.
started in WWE, went to UFC, and is
A big motherfucker.
a scary individual who would, if I ever encountered him in real life, I would pee my pants.
Absolutely.
He looks like those weirdos that wear that fucking really realistic baby mask and they're real jacked. Like that's what Brock Lesnar looks like. He just looks like the most fucking toe-headed motherfucker, and he is terrifying.
He's terrifying.
Like you'll see him in the next Purge movie. You're like,
Yes,
Yes.
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 Yes. I gotta ask, like, what's all right, man? I'm sorry. I'm gonna sound like a total dick to anyone who is a wrestling fan. I'm sorry, but this is the Hateful Geeks, so you know that's how we roll. You know that wrestling's not real, right?
Oh, I knew that when I was like 10 years old.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're not like a denial wrestling fan. You you like accept that like there are stories, and then
Yeah.
some greased up dude fights another greased up.
Except for the Undertaker. The Undertaker's real. I mean, that's there's no.
That's proven.
There were several little girls that were
Did you see
sacrificed to keep
Just the
the
Undertaker.
spirit.
Okay.
Did
Yeah.
you see the meme where it was like one of Undertaker's supernatural powers is he can see John
John
Cena?
Cena, yeah.
John Cena's like falling down. Like, ah!
That was another match at WrestleMania.
He beat him in
Was
3 minutes this weekend. That's
John,
why.
Yes, John Cena versus the Undertaker.
Did you see that lightning? That lightning hit his hat and then it poofed, and he's probably there. That's
Yeah.
probably real. I don't know why they couldn't film it, but
He's got lightning powers. Anyway, for me, like I knew wrestling was.
I'm
fake
not even.
when I
I'm
was
not
like-
even lying. That's literally a thing that happened.
I believe you were 100%
Yeah.
honest right now.
Like for me, I get enjoyment because it's pure comedy when they do shit like that to me. Like it makes me laugh anymore. But like 90% of the time, storylines don't really get me. It's just like, oh, they're gonna do that match. I hope it's good. You know, let's see if it's any good.
See, I remember the
for me,
days of like
puppets.
Mankind, like jumping off of like cages and like knocking out 7 of his teeth.
Right.
I remember like Bret the Hitman Hart. And which one was it that died? Like that was like really
Owen.
Which one?
Owen Hart.
Owen
Owen
Hart.
Hart, yeah.
I know which one you're talking about, but also when you ever have a conversation about wrestling, it's the most awful, like spot the dead guy. Like, cause like if you go and watch any old matches, you'll just have moments where you're like, everybody, even this fucking ref is dead. Like and it's like a match from like 95 and you're like,
And it's-
how the fuck did this happen?
That's morbid
Steroids.
as shit.
Right. No, it really, steroids is the answer, actually. Even the refs.
Even though,
Wrestling's here.
even
Some
though-
reason
you
they
never
have
hear
to.
him anymore.
But somehow Stone Cold's still alive.
Yeah.
steroids, beer.
It evens
Where do you
out.
It evens.
Where do you think Stone Cold Steve Austin falls in the political spectrum?
I'm gonna go.
Do you think he's a trumpeter, or do you think like he's like actually like I don't know?
think he voted Trump.
I think
No shit.
he's probably like a moderate Republican, but I feel like at this point, a lot of people even wrestling is because Trump is in the fucking Wrestling Hall of Fame.
No, Stone Cold said so.
Austin probably turned on him. I don't know. He's pretty he needs to keep himself like. He needs to be popular, so he can't make any like strong political statements.
Dom,
Stone Cold.
Okay, Dom, if you could pick two wrestlers as like running mates for like 2020, go.
For 2020, I would go with so the running mate would be IRS because he has a good tax platform.
Okay.
Which is that you always do your taxes. Always. And then for president, I would have to go with Steve Austin because I don't know I don't know.
I mean,
because I like beer.
You'd get the popular vote with The Rock.
The Rock, that's too much of an actual answer because that's literally going to happen. It's literally going to happen.
But I kind of feel like The Rock probably has a good civil rights stance, right?
I was going to say A New Day.
Dude, I was going to say Ted DiBiase to get that money.
Wait, if the New Day was elected president, would they be able to freebird rule the presidency? Would they be able to do that? Oh my God.
Yes.
That's probably too much of a wrestling reference for some people. I'm sorry.
What about Ted DiBiase? I mean, are we just completely counting out the $1 Million Man?
I even said that. I was like, you want that money? Get Ted DiBiase.
Yeah. Get that money, honey.
I should have thought of that with IRS.
Yeah. Right.
They were a team. What the fuck was I thinking?
Money Inc.
So you said it was John Cena versus Undertaker.
Yes.
Roman Reigns versus
Brock Lesnar.
What were the other big events of WrestleMania?
They had Ronda Rousey made her wrestling debut.
You got the Rowdy. The Rowdy.
She teamed with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
And that match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
I saw clips of her like just punching them in the corner.
Yeah. It was a lot better than I think anyone thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So other than Triple H or whatever the other guy's name was, did anyone's shirt get ripped off? It's an important question.
Well, oh boy, there was something that happened in the pre-show that is unfortunate. I didn't even know about it. Tim told me about this, so I'll let Tim kind of cover this.
I didn't find out because I was told by one of our friends.
Yeah.
In the pre-show they did a women's battle royal, and someone's outfit ripped in the crotch, and she was not wearing anything underneath.
Was it China?
No, China's dead.
Dead.
Well, that's really awkward now, isn't it?
Wait, did you legit not know China was dead?
Shut the fuck up, Tim. I knew it was.
Okay. I was just like, wait a minute here.
Fucking asshole. Like, could you explain to me again why the chicken crossed the road?
What?
It was to get to the other side, right?
No, it was because he got his dick caught another chicken. Shut up.
But I'm bummed.
What I was gonna say. Oh, so does Ronda have her finishing move? Is it something wrestling? Or
I think it's just an armbar.
Okay.
Just like it was in UFC.
I was curious, like how they were gonna do that because she's such a
is it getting knocked out in 30 seconds by her opponent and still thinking she's a champion?
Her outfit is essentially Roddy Piper.
Yeah, it was a kilt. I saw that.
Well, before he died, Piper gave her the okay to use the Rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came out as Rowdy Ronda Rousey during UFC, and then they've just translated it over to WWE.
Oh.
No.
So there's Triple H and Triple R?
Oh, I didn't even think about that, actually. God damn it.
Oh, fuck. This is why non-wrestling fans need to talk about wrestling more. I didn't even fucking think about that shit.
Mind blown. Good job.
I didn't think about that
broke
at all.
Da Vinci Code.
Nailed it.
The other one, because now WWE is big enough that they have 2 world titles, 2 world champions.
They've never done that before. They've never done that.
They have. Because their roster is so big that Raw has a roster and SmackDown has a roster. So
they've never done that before.
This is the second time they've done that.
What?
What are you talking about?
The first.
Dom's got a good poker face. I can't tell if he's fucking serious or not. Dom, for those of us who don't speak wrestling, have they actually done that before?
Help. I watch wrestling.
Okay. Help. They did it in 2002.
Yeah. Is that too?
because their roster was big enough because there was right after WCW collapsed and they got a lot of WCW talent. So their roster was big enough that they did Raw and SmackDown.
There's also an element of like creating a kind of a conflict because at that point it's like you get done with this long series of, it was called the Monday Night Wars when both of the companies existed and they were kind of competing for ratings and competing to do, that was when all the fucking insane shit happened that you remember, is because they're both just competing to see who could get more ratings. And by the time that all that ended, it was just like, oh, we fucking won. Ah, shit, now this is boring. Let's have the company compete with itself. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then the second that
That's literally-
SmackDown starts beating Vince McMahon's, he's like, well, I'm going to take all the good stuff from SmackDown. And then it just kind of slowly fizzled out. Took what, like 6 years? 5-6 years?
They had a draft. They had the brand split, as they called it, for 8 years.
Oh,
I think.
Jesus, longer than I remember.
I think.
I was out. I think I started watching wrestling in the early 90s, and then I made it up until about 2003-ish, and then I was out. I was out until...
Well, then you could start drinking.
Until we all we all dragged you back in again.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago.
I definitely remember WWF, and there was WCW.
Yeah.
Were those?
And then there was ECW.
Yeah, there was ECW.
ECW.
But the big Monday Night Wars thing that Dom had mentioned was Monday Nitro, WCW's flagship show, and then Raw, Monday Night Raw. They were on at the same time on Monday nights. I think like Nitro was like 8 to 11 for a while, and then Raw was like 9 to 11.
Huh.
And that's what
Nitro.
he talked about, is that once you take out your biggest competition,
What do you do?
what do you do?
Right.
Because ECW, like, while like they were nationally known, they didn't have the money that like WWE and WCW had. So within 2 months span, they both went out of business in 2001. So WWF was the only game in town.
So it's an incredibly profitable business, is what you're telling me right now.
I mean, it can be, but WCW and ECW were both definitely run poorly.
Yeah.
Like WCW, like they would give their wrestlers creative control, which you should never give to a wrestler. And
So
And they had a lot more props, I feel like.
and you also
what
had
did they? Yeah, what
wrestlers.
did they have that made them so much better than?
They had Ted Turner's money.
They had David Arquette for the most part. I
They
would
had
say,
David
you know, he was an influential wrestler.
David Arquette, who was a WCW world champion at one point. I'm not making that up, as much as I would love to say that I was.
That's awful.
Hey, I wish I could hold your hand through this, because I was right there, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of in shock that like we're 4 fucking grown men and we're sitting here talking about a bunch of greased up dudes,
Oh God.
like pretending to have girl troubles, which we all know they don't.
So okay, Monday Night Wars. That's an interesting thing for this point. So in professional wrestling, a lot of the stuff that's really fascinating with it is when real life kind of crosses over, or when real life is influencing the storylines. Because as everybody knows, I just found out, I guess, that it's not real.
I'm so sorry.
I've been holding back.
It's still real to me, damn it.
It's real in your heart, and that's where it matters.
But there's, especially in that time, you know, you had to worry about wrestlers going over and like jumping ship from one promotion to another, and that was, you talked about the NWO earlier, and that's what the NWO was to really popular wrestlers from the WWF going to WCW kind of overnight without anybody really knowing much about it, and just made this big splash. But one of the things that ended up happening in that era was there was a guy that was leaving, Bret Hart was leaving, and there was all of this, not confusion, but sort of conflict about the fact that he was the champion at the time, and he was going to be going over to WCW, and there's all this conflict about how he was going to lose the belt, because he had to lose before you go over there. And they, you know, there's this famous event called the Montreal Screwjob. And this is the really interesting real life stuff where they just literally lied to him about the way that a match was going to end and beat him, and like, you know, had the ref count 3 when it shouldn't have been counted 3. And it was just this big controversy thing. And like those elements like that, and there's a ton more to that story that like we just don't have there. You could do fucking a series of shows about the buildup of that.
And people have.
Yeah, absolutely. There's books about it. It's really fascinating. But there's events like that have happened. There's one that happened 3-4 years ago with Daniel Bryan, who's a wrestler right now, where there's this kind of conflict of real life, and they kind of wrap that into the story. That's kind of one of the things that makes wrestling really fascinating, because of course it's scripted, but you have these moments of real life, and it's really fun to kind of look and go, ooh, I wonder if that was because of I heard that these two fuckers had beef, and like now he lost this, but I wonder if that was like that's so much of the reason that wrestling is fun now. And like that shit was happening like on Monday night. Like fucking I heard Brock Lesnar fucking when he got back to the back, fucking Vince McMahon and him had a fight, and it's like, I don't know, is that real? Like, I don't know. Fucking somebody said it was. Like, it's
Sure. Like,
the Undertaker
that Montreal
didn't take John
Screwjob is how
Cena's
we
sister to the
got.
prom, and she was pissed.
Yeah, like in that Montreal Screwjob is how we got Vince McMahon as a heel character for years. Like that is what created Mr. McMahon.
He just looks like a hot dog you left out in the sun too long.
He's
kind of like a muffin top, dude.
He's like a
He
veiny hot dog.
big,
Yeah, he does.
Just a veiny hot dog.
Well, that
like leathery skin.
His son,
Shane.
I remember Shane McMahon.
Now, if you see Shane now, he doesn't look like anything but Shane I knew.
Yeah. I mean, that's what being, I guess, away from the wrestling industry for 10 years will do to you.
He's just like hyper, just like a weird like chin wearing a Henley long sleeve tee. Like that's what Shane McMahon is.
He went to run a company in China for a while.
Yeah,
and apparently that company didn't do so well, and he came back for like one fight, and then he just never left. So I know this because somebody at my office told me that today.
Yeah. He came back because I heard the company was fine. He just stepped away because he did what he wanted to do. I don't know. But now he's back in WWE and on TV. He is the commissioner of SmackDown. I can't sometimes, I like as much as I like wrestling, sometimes I can't say things with a straight face.
But he makes the matches. He books the matches.
Yes. Sometimes on the fly.
Oh.
Some you have to. You have to.
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing that happens in wrestling is the formula. The formula is Monday night. The show opens. The announcers talk at you, and then somebody walks out with a microphone and says, "My name's Jimmy, and that you heard of that Paulie guy? He fucking sucks." And then Paulie walks out and says, "I don't suck. You suck." And then somebody walks out and says, "That's." The main event's gonna be Timmy and Paulie in the Who Sucks More match. And like, did you really walk into the show and not know what your fucking main event was? You psychopaths! Like,
this is live TV.
That's what wrestling is. And I do not watch the live product. I do not watch the main roster live product because it is 3 hours of, oh God, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And I'm not doing that. So I read recaps.
But then you have Tim who holds parties.
Oh God. I'll watch the pay-per-views. But
so you're saying they have like a rough idea of what they're doing, and then they kind of sit down when they actually get into it. They start like, fleshing out their topic a little bit more. That sounds like a pretty solid setup. I think that works for a lot of people.
That seems like a stupid idea. I don't know why the fuck that would ever work.
I think I heard a podcast that does that.
Yeah, I think I know a podcast or two that might try that formula as well.
That seems like a bunch of rank amateurs. I would never even fucking think about
32 episodes later, I think it's doing all right.
We're all classless bastards.
True. It's true.
All right, real talk. Who's your favorite diva?
Those don't exist anymore.
What?
They actually stopped using that term.
Now you know how out of touch I am with the wrestling universe.
That was only a year ago, though. You're not that out of touch.
Well, yeah. So what are they? What are the ladies of WWF?
They're the women's division. They went back to having, like, instead of calling them the WWE Divas Champion, now it's the women's champion again.
They're superstars.
They're superstars. I'm sorry.
Like the men, they're all just superstars.
Cool. Hey, fucking good for you, wrestling. That's real progressive.
Yeah. I mean, it only took until 2016.
Yeah. That's oh god, so fucking backwards. My favorite wrestler currently, I guess my favorite woman wrestler. I guess. I mean, I feel like if I say Asuka, it's like I love Hulk Hogan, but I don't know.
The Bella Twins.
Tony Storm. That's my favorite woman.
The Bella Twins. They're fucking terrible. I don't know who that is either. They were twins that are, wrestlers that started off as models.
That's Tim like twins. Shocking. Go on.
And one's married to or engaged to John Cena, and the other one's married to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. Yep.
How can she marry him if she can't see him?
This is true.
She can see the fucking jorts. She just sees a floating pair of jorts, and then she's like, "I
love those jorts
and those wristbands and his hat." It's just.
Can I just say, like, one thing I have always appreciated about the world of wrestling is it's provided us with some pretty sweet actors or some entertainers at least. Like you got The Rock. I mean, you got Hulk Hogan. You got but John Cena. Fucking real dude, a train wreck. He is a train wreck, but he was also in the movie Trainwreck.
Right.
Which was
also-
a god-awful abortion of a film. Sorry, I don't mean to use that word, god-awful. I mean, it is what it is. But even worse, he's in
Wasn't
this
it like
new
a
movie coming
soldier
out
movie?
called Cock Blockers.
yes.
Yeah, he is currently signed on to play Duke Nukem in the Duke Nukem movie, and he looks like the most.
See,
he looks like that fucking shitty sprite. That's sad to say that your face looks like a 1990s.
I feel like
sprite.
I feel like
Right.
Brock Lesnar should play Duke Nukem.
Yeah, I kind of can see Brock Lesnar as a Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
But
Also,
then again,
John,
so could Gordie Howe.
Right.
So
also John Cena's in the Bumblebee movie coming out, the Transformer.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's like one of the main people in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
Christ.
does look like you just pumped up fucking Marky Mark or whatever. Just put a fucking bike pumper up his ass. And just,
is he gonna have jorts in the Bumblebee movie?
If he doesn't, I will be disappointed.
Is he going to use his catchphrase?
I mean,
Like the Rock. The Rock is a solid
Yeah.
entertainer.
Yeah.
Right.
Wrestling might have been his opening. Sorry, fanny pack modeling might have been where he got his
Oh,
start.
yes.
Then he
Correct.
went to wrestling. But The Rock is a great fucking actor. I love most
Absolutely.
Rock movies. They're
Batista?
fucking fun.
I love
I
Batista.
mean, have you seen Doom? God, come on.
We actually talked about Doom in one of our top fives when I talked about top 5 worst video game movies
Yeah.
ever made. That was one of them.
That was there.
Not because The Rock. He was actually one of the most redeeming things about that movie. And Carl Urban. It was mostly plot and shitty sci-fi. But that's another story. Listen to that episode. You'll probably like. But no, like The Rock's done some good shit, even though he's making Rampage right now, and Tim's probably gonna go see that. But the Rock can't really. Batista. So this
Yeah.
is my only wrestling claim to fame. I saw Batista in person at a Best Buy in North Virginia with his family. I'm from the North Virginia area, and that's where Batista lived for the early aughts, like late 90s. So I'm in Best Buy, and like here's this like hulking bald motherfucker, like in the blue DVD section. I'm like, that's a wrestler probably. 'Cause I have no idea if that's fucking Batista or not. It wasn't until later that afternoon that somebody told me like Batista was seen at a Best Buy. I'm like, I was there. Who's Batista? But no, he's one of the best things about Guardians of the
Oh, yeah.
Galaxy. So
No, for
yeah,
sure.
so we got Batista, you've got The Rock, you've got Hulk Hogan, you've got Andre the Giant, even though he did like one movie. Like, anybody want a peanut?
Kane did See No
See No
Evil.
Evil.
Kane did. Oh man.
You know.
Oh boy.
It's a horror movie in an abandoned hotel, I believe.
I mean, it's not good.
Kids have to go clean up as community service.
So when I'm talking about like wrestling giving us good entertainers, I mean like they did more than one shitty B horror movie.
Right. That was just my
And
Or
it
they
got a
did
sequel.
Princess Bride.
little trinket of knowledge there.
See No Evil got a sequel. It's fine.
It did. I think it got 2.
So
there's
did
a
The
third one.
Purge, Tim.
What's that?
So did The Purge.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was saying it got a sequel as pure sarcasm. Like
Didn't they try to play off Kane as Undertaker's brother?
that
No,
was
he-
how
he
Kane
did.
was introduced.
Yeah,
He
he was
Yeah.
his,
Even I
he is his
remember that.
brother.
is his
He
brother.
had like
yeah.
the red mask and like he was like, "You're my
Since-
brother," and I don't talk really.
Since we've established that the Undertaker is real and has powers, Kane is his brother,
Well, of course, Kane would have
Well,
powers by extension.
and,
so there's 2.
and therefore Paul Bearer is his father.
That's just creepy.
Fuck, he is.
That is.
I don't get that joke.
That's his voice. That's how
That
they have a little manager that comes out with him.
Oh, is that the guy with like the white skin?
Yeah, with,
black
like, the
eyes,
mu-
looks like a
yeah.
raccoon,
Yeah.
but like really
Yep.
fat, and he's
yeah. That's how he sounds when he talks.
that was Paul Bearer.
It's a fat
Looks like
raccoon.
he-
That was his character. Yeah.
like he looks like he would host like a really late 2 a.m. of like black and white horrors movie.
Yes.
He just,
Special
like-
like Elvira but ugly.
Yeah, just go out to the dumpster and you throw a bag and he just kind of climbs up and he's just like, "Oh, I'd like to bring you a monster movie."
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. That all makes sense.
Nailed it.
All right, well, let's go around the room real quick. What's your favorite era of wrestling?
I would have to say like what's called the Attitude Era because that's how I started, and that's like late '90s, early 2000s of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, The Undertaker, Mankind. Like that's how I started or where
Okay.
I started.
All right, cool. What about you, Dom? What was your favorite era of wrestling?
It'd be like a similar era, but I came in, like I said, I watched WWF really early on, but I really didn't start to get into wrestling and really love it until I started watching WCW Nitro, which was it would be at the same time as the Attitude Era, a little bit earlier, like 96 to like 98, 99 is when well, 98 really is the last year that WCW was worth a shit, but that would be my favorite era. It was effectively the same years, but it's hard to call it the same era because it was a different company with a lot of different wrestlers. It would do a lot of different kind of stuff.
I mean, that's the rise of Goldberg.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, like, could you give me throw me a couple names?
That's Goldberg, and then you still had like the NWO Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
Sting.
Like Sting and Kevin Nash.
I really
it's
liked
the red one. It's the red one.
Yeah.
DX is WWF.
Yeah. So like
NWO is the Too Sweet.
So like being a fucking like a sad little edgy boy, I loved Sting because he was the Crow. Like if the Crow was a wrestler, like that was Sting of that era. There was also a lot of these like smaller guys from Mexico that would do a lot of the lucha stuff, and it was just really exciting and fun. I just never seen anything like that. And then you got guys like Chris Jericho that are out there doing like the goofiest fucking shit ever. Like
the Wall of Jericho.
Yeah, getting like locked out of the building and stuff.
Or his 1001 holds.
Yeah.
And every third move was armbar. He's just looking right at the camera and saying it too.
Legit, I thought that when WWJD bracelets were really popular, like one time Jericho had like an offhanded like, oh, what would Jericho do? And I thought that's what those were the whole time. The whole time as a kid. It was like, oh, I'm another wrestling fan. Cool. I don't know why you're looking at this church, but whatever.
What about you, Sweeney? Do you have a favorite era of wrestling that you can remember?
So, the Attitude Era is where I kind of stopped watching. So up until that point, I remember like when I was a kid, I really loved the 1, 2, 3 Kid, which is X-Pac. It became X-Pac. I remember him, Rikishi.
I remember Rikishi
sticking his ass
in people's faces.
Yeah, he was like a sumo, and he put you in the corner, and then you get a face full of that man.
Yeah, that was like my favorite. Like it was just fun to watch. It was like, what the hell are they doing? But I like it.
So, like
the Hardy Brothers.
I read in an interview like the origin of that is that because as we were talking about how wrestlers, it's premeditated. It's
just say it. Just say it's fake.
It's fake. It's fake.
Ouch.
Don't fucking
said it.
Keep it alive.
I'm telling Vince.
Sometimes they'll talk about what moves are next. Well, Rikishi forgot what move to do next in the match, so his answer was sticking his ass in the
some improv right there.
Big boss man's face.
That is just advice for life, everybody.
Stick your ass in it.
You don't know what to do next. Just pull them pants down. And just
well, Tim is notoriously known for saying, "I'm going to show my dick." So I mean,
that's really that's Tim's catchphrase. If Tim was a wrestler, that would be his final move.
Listen,
the Bronco Buster.
There's a
just dick in the face.
There's a wrestler with a whole dick thing, like legitimately. So we can.
That is his gimmick. His
dick throws people, right?
His gimmick is that he has a big dick.
And it throws people,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You try to grab it and it won't. And you can't let go.
You can't let go.
And then he just fucking hip swivels and you're fucking out.
It's actually
Wait, hold on. Do you want to know what happened this weekend? That wrestler had a match with Jerry the King Lawler, who you've heard of, I'm sure.
Are you shitting me? The guy with from fucking Andy Kaufman?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just wait. There's more.
And the dick man whose name is Joey Ryan. He was dressed up like Andy Kaufman, and he went to go do his penis shtick with the King, and the King just blew a fireball at it.
At his dick.
Right at his dick. Right in it. Right at it. This is stuff that happens.
So, are you guys sober while you're watching wrestling?
I am usually.
Sometimes I'm not.
Sometimes I'm not.
WrestleMania was 7 hours long this year. I can't get through 7 hours of wrestling sober.
No.
I can't.
It's like Clockwork Orange shit. Like,
I tapped out.
He did. Yeah,
I did. I left early. I was like, I'm done. It's halfway through this main event. It's like, the thing we waited for. I'm done.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I think I think the only wrestler. Okay, so what era and what wrestling was Razor Ramon?
That was like the mid '90s. I don't think they have.
It was the new generation.
The new generation.
Okay, so like mid '90s.
Yeah, that was like '93 to like '96.
Was
probably.
it WWF?
It was WWF.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I liked Razor Ramon only because he was the bad guy, and he wasn't afraid to say flat out and super unoriginal, "I am the bad guy." And he watched a lot of Scarface, obviously. So I liked Razor Ramon only because this guy embodies everything that I love and hate about wrestling. Right. one, he's like a rake. He's a total like heel. He's the bad guy, but he owns it and he loves it. But he's also fake as fuck because you know that accent ain't real.
Oh no,
that is not real.
Like
remotely.
Not even close.
No, I think Rusev's might be real.
No, Rusev's from, I forget what.
He's from Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, it was because he's not Russian. I was just
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah. Sure.
If I point correctly, if I do one of these, my Razor Ramon is there. That's Razor Ramon. That's Razor Ramon.
Brother.
And it's the pink one.
The only reason that that he was able to do that gimmick in the really terrible Cuban accent is because Vince McMahon, in his craziness, had never seen or heard of Scarface.
I was gonna say, like, didn't they get copyright? Like, didn't Al Pacino be like copyright infringement, motherfucker? Like,
you stole my character.
He had never even heard or seen of Scarface, and saw the promo and the idea, and Vince was just, go for it. Ah.
Jesus.
This is also a man who like doesn't know what a burrito is. He calls it a meat wrap.
This man,
I'm not making
and this man owns millions and millions of dollars.
He is a billionaire.
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 His wife is on Trump's cabinet.
And she's a
To your
small business. Small business something or other, yeah.
And
this is
why is our country
This
so
rabbit hole
fucked?
goes deep. You don't even know.
Shit. This is some fucking deep throat Watergate shit right here. Vince McMahon is the one really running the country right now. You fucking
Vince
idiot.
McMahon is a crazy person.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I really do.
He doesn't like, now his new thing is that he doesn't like the word tournament. And so
It's not even a new thing.
last night on Raw, he used the word eliminator.
Yep. Can I ask you a question, Phil? If you had a series, like maybe, I don't know, like a bracket kind of, right, of teams, and there were tag teams, what would you call that kind of an event?
Like each team in my tournament would be a bunch of tag teams.
Yeah, what would you call that?
Tournament.
Okay, cool. Maybe they call it a tag team tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
right,
tag
that
team
seems-
tournament. That sounds right.
That
Yeah,
sounds logical.
You wouldn't call
Maybe
it
a Royal Rumble where they all fight simultaneously.
No,
or is
it's
this-
just a tournament.
Oh, yeah. Then
Sorry, a series of matches.
Yeah.
Series
So
of
like
matches.
what do they call that thing that happens every year with basketball? Like the Sweet 16. What do they call that?
I think that's the sweet eliminators. That's what I would call it, honestly.
The NCAA basketball eliminators. I believe that's why you're right.
Yeah, Vince McMahon is just a huge ZZ Top fan.
Yeah.
You know,
I bet him and Ted Nugent give each other Dutch rudders on Sunday.
Christ.
It's not gay. 'Cause You're only touching your own dick.
That's right.
I bet you can't make me come. Like that's
Parkland shooting with
yeah, fucking right. Oh God. Oh, crisis actors. Oh.
Dude, no, you hit the nail on the head, Dom, because that's what wrestling is. It's a bunch of crisis actors.
Oh,
It's a bunch of crisis actors who can sort of dance.
I can't-
I
They're
did not say
dance
that.
fighters.
I did
I
not say
can't.
that.
I can't get past how good your Vince McMahon impression is.
I just stand in the mirror and I just fucking paint veins on myself and be like, I want to be him. I want to be Vince. I just like get my hair as tall as I can get it.
Ah,
Fuck.
Yeah, I mean that's what he fucking sounds like.
you gotta do like the cheek shake when you walk.
I can't. I know.
Oh, I can do the walk. I can do the walk.
Conor McGregor says he stole that walk. He can't even come close to the reason that Vince has to walk like that is because of his fucking nutsack is so big. No, it's because he tore both of his fucking quads at once.
All that and because he has balls the size of grapefruits.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Does he have like testicular cancer?
No, like that was a line he used a lot in like the late 90s. Is like
Grapefruits.
is like, you don't have the balls to do it. I have nuts the size of grapefruits.
Mhm.
That's what happens when you have two hernias.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He referred to himself as the genetic jackhammer.
Yeah. Yes, like he was going off of TV and he wanted to bang Linda off TV, I guess. And it was like genetic jackhammer.
Dude, there's a lot of talking about cocks and shit for a show that's supposed to be about like a bunch of badass dudes.
Wrestling, it's a carny show. It is and always was a carny show.
And like once you look at it like that, it's more acceptable in your mind.
So what I've noticed is there's like two types of wrestling fans. There's like wrestling fans like you guys that are just you're like the people who go to a NASCAR show, not because you love watching commercials go around a track going fast and to the left over and over again for 12 hours. You like to see a crash. You want to see something. You want to see somebody maybe die today. And then you got like your other wrestling fan who's like, like, man, get the goddamn antenna working on the trailer. We're gonna miss WrestleMania.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people that unfortunately take it too seriously. Where
you think?
Yeah, like guys, it's just a show. Like take your emotions out of it. Yeah. Like for me, like okay, the person I didn't want to win lost. But like okay, on to the next one. Like
he'll win next week.
Right? Or I mean, it's just like just let it happen.
Right.
You know, like it's not. You can say, "Oh, I didn't like this," but like, don't go fucking crazy on fucking Reddit about it.
That was where I was going to go next, Tim.
Yeah.
Do you engage on internet conversations on Reddit about wrestling?
I do not. I do go on. It's called their Reddit page is called Squared Circle. I go on it for dumb shit.
Well,
like,
that's the.
Wasn't that like 90% of Reddit?
Yeah, I mean
Dumb
it's like gifs of like wrestlers screwing up, or like, oh, someone posted something funny on Twitter, wrestling related. They'll share it on Twitter, but like I'm not going to actively go in and be like, Roman Reigns is a baby. Like I'm not going to do that.
Did you have Last Jedi spoiled for you on a wrestling forum?
I did.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I did. That's why as of Monday, I've been off of Squared Circle because if that happens with Avengers Infinity War, I will actually murder someone.
So will Thanos probably.
It's going to be Loki. It's going to be Loki and Cap. We've already discussed this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Loki, Cap, and Nebula.
Isn't like in the originally actual and I guess do you want to give spoilers for a fucking 30-year-old comic book?
Sure.
But like
we spoil everything.
Didn't like Thanos like straight up kill Cap within like the first issue?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because Cap walks up and says,
like
he says, I'm not scared of
snaps
you.
His finger and like half the fucking galaxy dies.
Yeah, Cap punches Thanos, like walks right up to him and just punches him. And Thanos is like, what? And it's just,
fuck you.
Everything's gone.
You never were born. Like,
so,
yeah, it was okay. Oh my God, man. We can't go one episode with talking about comic books. All
right.
Who's the Thanos of wrestling?
Right. Yeah, greased up steroid guys. Go.
Who would be the Thanos of wrestling?
The Thanos McMahon. Vince McMahon.
Yeah. He's like
Triple H.
He's like God McMahon.
Oh my God! All the companies he's been buying is like collecting the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh fuck!
I mean, there's a lot more out there than WWE. You've got Ring of Honor, and you had mentioned earlier Japan, like New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is Japan's version of WWE, is very, very good right now.
Oh, Kenny Omega-san!
Kenny Omega-san!
Hey, rein it in there, guys.
That's literally
that is literally what they and like their champion has held their belt. His name's Kazuchika Okada, has been champion for 2 years. Which
really? They don't just like switch every 3 months like the wrestlers do?
No, it's like it matters. It's like it's a belt that they care about that has compelling stories.
Shocker, Japan actually cares.
Yeah. Japan's version of wrestling is a lot more closer to real sport. Like that's the presentation of it. It's obvious. It's just as we'll use the F word. It's just as fake as it is over here. They do like a different kind of style of wrestling, but yeah, like the way that they tell stories is less soap opera, more sports drama.
Right. They don't have
sumo.
They don't have they don't have like a dedicated weekly wrestling show. Number one, like instead of like when you watch Raw, it's like promo, match, backstage stuff. There's none of that. It's just match.
Like their version of storytelling is like they will have references to previous matches within a match. Well, you'll see like an exchange between two wrestlers who like, the last time this is a big deal that they're fighting again. They haven't fought for like a year, and it's like, like that sequence that was the way that this previous match ended, but the other guy reversed it in a way that he lost last time, but he figured out a way to reverse it. Like that's their version of storytelling, as these like callbacks to the fight. It's really it's much more subtle, and it's like when I say sport, it's kind of like it's just like the way that your playoff season baseball is like full of drama. It's more like that than it is a soap opera.
And they had at the end of every match, they actually have like backstage like press conferences where the Japanese press is there and they're answering questions.
Yeah.
No shit, that's pretty interesting actually.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like UFC or like boxing, but like a little more mixed martial art.
Yeah, it's a little more real.
Yeah, it's a little more real. They're a lot more
right track
stiff.
here Kind of like Kickboxer, the first Kickboxer, not Kickboxer 2 or 3.
Yeah, like it's a lot more stiff there too, where like they're
all erect always.
Yeah,
just completely erect. What?
He's just using my phrasing because I said stiff.
Okie dokie. Not watching that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, some of their moves are a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, like
they actually don't like the one Kenny Omega. He does a flying knee, literally, like to a guy's face. Like the knee just comes flying in.
Shouldn't have run into his knee.
Yeah, right. I mean, and then you also had Nakamura.
That crazy like spinning. Is that the one you're talking about? Where he like jumps on them? Or somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
you showed it to me. Like, he jumps on them and like
Nakamura.
spins them around. Like so, he spins around their head. So like you could snap somebody's neck.
It could have been the
Does
Rainmaker.
anyone do a move where they knock someone on the ground and then walk forward, step on their cheek, and then spin while standing on their cheek? Just to give them a really fucked up cheek burn, like twisting their face. Like you try fighting with one of those. That shit
oddly
hurts.
specific.
I think you have
That would
a history.
be my signature move.
I was gonna
That's
say,
what I would do to a guy.
I think you have a history in pro wrestling with that move.
I just did a curb stomp, but whatever.
Oh yeah,
What the fuck, dude? Why you gotta go American History X on people?
because a
Fucked
wrestler
up.
uses that as his finishing
Yeah,
move.
he does.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. Seth Rollins.
Does he-
Seth Rollins does a curb stomp.
That's fucking
It
racist.
didn't used to be called that. It used to be called the blackout, which is a much better word. And then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna call it the curb stop."
I don't know if that's much better considering the topic of American History.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
imitation from that event.
Right.
Well, that's fucked up. So wrestling has some like underlying problems. I mean,
It always has.
yeah, so like the demographics that wrestling really appeals to. Like, I mean, you kind of there are stereotypes. You get kind of lumped in with like lower brow fans, and there's not that certainly doesn't apply to all wrestling fans. Yeah, I see Dom. I see you thumb pointing to Tim. Like Tim. So did you watch WrestleMania on Sunday? Like you watch it live?
Yeah.
So how big was the trailer you were watching it from?
I don't know. It fit like 20 of us in there.
Nice. All of you were family?
Yes, all of my
Kissing
family.
cousins?
All of it.
Wait, is that the first or second?
It depends on how below the Mason-Dixon line.
Once you get
Right.
to second cousins, I mean,
It's
I mean, it doesn't
It's
matter. There's no
whatever.
blood there.
hey, man.
just you're my sister. You're my sister.
Fucking Joe Dirt. You're gonna reference some fucking Joe Dirt. No, you know what? That's not wrong though, Sweeney. Sweeney makes a good point. You got Joe Dirt wrestling fans, and then you've got like No Holds Barred.
Like the movie.
Zeus.
What's that smell?
Dookie. I had that moment. I had that Dookie moment once. No.
You shit your pants?
Yeah, I did. Hulk Hogan was there. Yeah, I went to my first Raw, which is the WWE's big Monday night show. I went to a live Raw 2 years ago, I want to say. And when I got back into wrestling, it was 2013, I want to say 2013, 2014, whenever that was. And I had only been watching wrestling with my friends. So I've been watching wrestling with Tim and some other people, reasonably sane, reasonably non-trailer people. Some questionable, but for the most part, they seem like sane people. And then I had just not been to a live wrestling show for the WWE in so long, and I went to this show, and we were like, I won a raffle at work, and they had Raw tickets, and they were like basically in like the bleacher section. So it was like the common clay, you would call it, and it was. Maybe it was a little worse because it was the 4th of July show and they like to get like really racistly patriotic. But like, I just
Fucking America.
Yeah, I was completely. I forgot that this was so much of what wrestling, because it was like a motherfucker in a puffy trucker hat in front of me, and they're just like they're presenting like the American guys versus the foreign guys, and like half the foreign guys are Canadian, and it's like I fucking like really like, are you that mad at Canada? Like, what the fuck did Canada do to you? They got a guy who is like from from LA, and they're like, oh, he's Mexican tonight. It's like, fucking God, guys, come on.
I was at that show.
Yeah.
And I sat front row for that show.
Yeah, fucking Tim. God damn it, Tim.
And
so he's like Floyd Money Mayweather, and you're like,
and one of the wrestlers, Kevin Owens, almost accidentally elbowed the girl that I was with when he was trying to reach for the guy sitting next to hers American hats.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin
Holy
Owen.
shit.
I also have gotten Roman Reigns' hair water in my mouth.
Ugh.
That was not pleasant.
Are you sure it's water?
So, so people in glass houses can't throw stones. Like, I'm a big hockey fan. I love going to see hockey. I'll even go to see farm team hockey. And I love a good live event. Like, I've never been to a wrestling event, though. Like, so would you say, like, compared to like another sporting event, like, is it longer? Like what kind of snacks do they have?
I mean, you got the same snacks, but depends on what show you're at. Like Raw's 3 hours now, so you get there about a half hour. It's like 3.5 hour show.
It's still a stadium.
Yeah.
Like usually inside like a arena, so you're still gonna have your stadium food.
Yeah, I mean, they're like nationwide and all that.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's like the show itself. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously the fans get into it, but like, do you know if you're gonna get like dragged into it? Do you bring signs? Or like,
I don't bring signs. I never
wear
have
makeup and shit.
I never got into bringing signs when I was.
Do you wear your
kid.
favorite wrestler's T-shirt?
I'll wear a wrestling T-shirt. Yeah,
You're that guy.
That's about as far as I'll go.
It's like going
You
to.
wear the shirt of the band you're gonna go
Right,
see.
yeah.
I do not do that.
I wear the opposite genre when I go to those concerts.
So you wear like a ballet shirt when you go to like fucking.
So you go
so
to
I
a
went
rock show
to-
wearing
I
a
went-
Kenny
I went
Chesney
to a
T-shirt.
Slipknot concert, and I wore a Sleeping with Sirens T-shirt. For those who don't know, Sleeping with Sirens it's a very screamo emo band, and Slipknot is a very heavy metal band.
You're right.
I like to do that to throw people off. They're like, "What? Who's this
It's like
guy?"
wearing like so since I'm older than you, it's like wearing like a Metallica shirt to a Rod Stewart concert.
Exactly.
Or something. All right, cool.
Precisely.
Yes.
Or like an ABBA T-shirt.
I wear ABBA everywhere.
Are you really going to sit here and insult ABBA? Because fuck off.
Yeah, what the
Or
fuck?
wear an Asia T-shirt.
Their harmonies are better than your harmonies.
Wear an Asia T-shirt.
Asia. Oh fuck, man. All right, well, of all time, what would you say it was that drew you in to wrestling? Like at the beginning, like what was the moment when you were like, okay, I'm down with this. I'm going to continue to watch this.
Even better, Cell Wrestling.
Yeah. So, like, you know me. I've obviously been fucking with you for the last hour. Like, sell me on wrestling. Get me into wrestling, and it can't just be about Razor Ramon.
You're a little off there. There you go. Get your toothpick out.
All right, seriously. You got 30 seconds. Go. Make me a wrestling fan.
Elevator speech.
Man, I don't know. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm dead. Nailed it.
I'll do it. I
Go
got
for
it. All right. So, professional wrestling is the most entertaining and interesting form of live theater that you will ever interact with. It is everything you love about fucking weird circus performances and mostly nude men. If you're into that, I guess. Wait, no. It's like
Go on.
Who have you been talking to, Dom?
A lot of the stuff that's really fun to me about pro wrestling and watching it live is, first of all, I think going to pro wrestling, like going to a live show, like finding a local indie, or like a big, like some company like Ring of Honor or like PWG if you're out on the West Coast, or I don't know where. There's plenty of like local promotions that are popular where all like the really good people come from. Going to those live shows is a lot more fun. It's a lot more participatory. Screaming your head off next to somebody, like being part of that show. Like, I know this bad guy isn't really bad, but it's just fun to yell at him and call him an asshole to his face, and he'll like get right up into your face and like, "Oh, really? Yeah, like, yeah, your fucking grandma, my grandma hates you. Your grandma hates you. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of my face. Here's a chair. Fucking hit this guy with this chair." That stuff is really fun. But watching that live performance and sort of seeing this movie level choreography that's happening live, that like they get it on one take. Like everything they're doing is they're effectively making it up on the fly. Like that's another fun, fascinating thing about wrestling is it's 90% improv. Like in the ring, they're not like it's predetermined who's going to win, but like move to move, like moment to moment, they're effectively making it up as they go, and that's just like a fascinating thing to watch and go like, oh, are they gonna? It effectively gives you that rush of a real sport of not knowing what's going to happen on that next play or on that next shot. Like, even though, yes, it's fake, they're not actually hitting each other, but just like seeing, are they going to land that move correctly? Is he going to get that full, 450, double, triple flip off the top rope? Or just seeing a dude do weird backflips from the top rope to the floor. And it gives you all that adrenaline rush. Plus, you get to hold signs that say "Face fuck me, Finn" or whatever that girl did.
Yes.
That one.
That is a sign.
At that one show.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you got to think too that while it may be fake, they're still athletes. They still have to be able to accomplish certain things.
I'll never take that away from them. They are in way better shape than I'll ever be, and I'm not jumping off any third ropes anytime soon onto the Mexican announcer's table.
They're still landing on somewhat hard surface.
Well, and they're still doing they may not be full on hitting, but they're still hitting. Like it's not like
and this is something
slapping. I can hear it.
And this is something that they do like 4 or 5 nights a week.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh, to quote our missing host, maybe.
That's Andy's response to anything we try to sell him on. Like we try to sell him on anime, try to sell him on musicals because he hates musicals.
I'm like a 60-40, which is really a 0-0.
Yeah.
So maybe.
like everything, like not all anime is good. Not all musicals are good.
We did a show on that too.
Not all wrestling is good.
Not all wrestling is good. There's bad wrestling out there.
There are some gems out there.
My fun fact, you mentioned local wrestling. This reminded me of it. I used to work at Verizon Wireless, sold cell phones for some cheap company that resold Verizon phones.
Right.
The guy I worked with, he was an amateur wrestler, and he invited me to one of his shows one time. So I went and we set up a promo table for Verizon. I went in there and saw him in the ring. I was like, who is this man? I've never seen him act like this ever. And
right.
Well, I never realized how handsome he was.
He did have long, luxurious hair.
He's roguishly charming.
But yeah, it was enjoyable to go to a live show. And that's
they are enjoyable. Ring of Honor is actually in town on Sunday, and I've got tickets to that show.
Nice.
So,
really?
Yeah.
So Ring of Honor is
you motherfucker.
Ring of Honor is like a minor league, or is it a?
They are nationally known. They go around the U.S. They have a show on syndications. I see it. I catch it on Fox and CW, stuff like that.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, I mean they've got some former WWE people. A lot of people that are in WWE now started there. In Ring of Honor.
Effectively, most of the major names that you know from WCW, or from WCW, most of the major names that you know from WWE at this point, that are the younger guys, your 30s, kind of not your
late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, those are all. That was the entire Ring of Honor stable, effectively. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Dana Bryan, Tyler Black, Samoa Joe.
Rollins.
Yeah. Do they still have? I know they had that reality show for wrestlers. It was to pick next superstar.
Oh, Tough Enough.
Oh, Tough Enough.
That's what it was.
They do not do Tough Enough anymore.
Not a single Tough Enough star has ever made it to anything.
Yeah. That might be why.
I remember seeing because UFC has the Ultimate Fighter, which those guys actually make it into the big leagues.
Some of them have become champion.
Right.
No one in Tough Enough has ever got anywhere.
Nice.
A quick thing to note, because I'm not exactly sure what level the audience is on wrestling knowledge. So for those that don't know or do know or whatever, one of the interesting things about a company like Ring of Honor, we keep saying that name. An interesting thing about that, these smaller promotions, is they operate a lot like wrestling operated 30, 40, even 50 years ago, because most people know the name WWF or WWE. That's the biggest name. That's what you know. That's what most people think of as wrestling. But wrestling used to be a lot more of a local kind of thing. They were broken up into what were called territories, which was chunks of a state where, they kind of had their own little roster, and then guys would travel from territory to territory, and it was kind of like constant comic book crossovers. Because we have to keep referencing that shit. But then there were collections of those territories that would have a champion that would be, that would go across all of those different collected territories. And, the territories would make up a huge chunk of the country. So there was Mid-South, and then there was the West Coast, and there was the New York territory that was basically just WWF at the time. And that was, there was a lot of smaller things. You could just go and see those kinds of events, and people just traveled, and you just saw these weird matches of different styles clashing all the time. And that was what wrestling used to be, was that smaller kind of, grassroots kind of
territorial thing, and
hipster shit, and that's kind of what like
grass-fed wrestling.
Yeah, it's really
and then
like
WWE
cage-free wrestling.
Well,
Before they had
cruelty-free.
cages, and now it's all GMO cage wrestlers. Not even really a joke because they're all fucking juiced up.
I like my champion gluten-free person.
Really, that's the only way to do it. I've done a juice cleanse with wrestling lately.
It's not wrong.
So,
what kind of juice?
Steroids. And I have heart problems. Please help me. And so the smaller companies like Ring of Honor, that's a lot more of the way that they work, where there's these smaller promotions. Like there's, like I said earlier, CCW, there's PWG, there's, Evolve, Ring of Honor. These like smaller companies where guys kind of go to develop, and you go to those shows, and you'll very likely, like we were saying earlier, like you're going to see the big stars of tomorrow there, and you were there at their merch table and got to just sit and talk to them.
In about 5 years, they'll be in WWE.
Yeah, there'll be a raid, and they'll just go like sweep and like take all of them.
Can we just?
That's what Vince does. That's what Vince did in the 80s when WWF went big.
Yeah.
And
Can we just say fuck the World Wildlife Foundation and get WWF back, please?
right,
God,
WWE doesn't flow off the tongue like WWF did.
No, it doesn't. I don't like it.
All right. I believe we are getting close to our finale, if you will.
It's French.
It's French.
So let's go out off on a fun note here. What's your favorite movie about professional wrestling? There's been a lot of them too.
I mean, No Holds Barred will always have a special place in my heart because it's terrible. But man, Darren Aronofsky's movie The Wrestler was really goddamn good.
Really good.
Tim's fucking taking all the easy ones. Goddamn it.
That was Tom Hardy too, right? Or wasn't it? No, that was Mickey Rourke. That's right.
I can't. I mean, there's not a whole lot of wrestling movies out.
I don't really know any of them outside the Wrestler.
I think mine's better than Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler. I like Ready to Rumble.
I knew you were going to fucking say Ready to Rumble.
Yep.
Let's get ready to rumble.
That's why David Arquette became WCW champion, to promote that fucking film.
He does. He becomes like a super trooper at the end with no sleeves.
Yeah.
Jimmy the King. Love that fucking movie. It's great. Goldberg's in it.
Oh,
so Man on the Moon is the next closest one that I could say. So fuck it. Man on the Moon, I guess, is my favorite one.
Fuck it.
I thought you were going to ask for favorite wrestling match.
Ooh. You could say part of like Rocky 3 when he like fights.
When he fights Hulk Hogan.
Thunderlips.
I mean, favorite match. I mean, for me, I remember the match when Mankind almost died.
I don't think.
He fell off.
The Hell in a Cell.
Through the hole.
That Hell in a Cell. Yeah, that's an interesting match.
Actually, they weren't supposed to fall through, and they fell through. And
I remember that. Yeah, he like lost a bunch of teeth from that fall.
Yeah,
didn't he?
He broke.
He lost a tooth, but
I mean, and he found it in his nose.
Yeah,
that was all he had left though already. There, right? Just the one.
I mean, he like dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah, it
he
was
like
bad.
Lacerated a kidney or something like that. Like, man, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
He didn't move for like.
Yeah, like when he fell through the cage, there was a steel chair that was up there. When it came down, it hit him in the face. And that's how the tooth came out, and he was legit knocked unconscious. Yep.
I mean, you can see it.
He doesn't remember that match.
Yeah, you can see it when he's trying to stand up. He's just like, he's gone. Like that.
He just crumbles.
I remember that one.
So how many wrestlers have died in the ring?
I couldn't. There was a guy that died a couple years ago in Mexico. He was wrestling Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
It was a freak accident.
Rey Mysterio hit him with his finisher, and he just...
Rey Mysterio killed a dude?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the rope killed him.
The rope killed the guy.
Yeah.
Did the guy's brother like learn how to wrestle to like Sunday seek revenge in the ring?
I fucking hope that would be the most wrestling thing.
Because the guy
that would be the most wrestling thing.
The guy messed
Come
up,
from
right?
Rey Mysterio.
He like wasn't on the rope right.
Yeah,
and
he didn't set it up right.
Yeah.
It was an accident.
Yeah.
That's like, it was a complete accident. It wasn't necessarily either guy's fault. It's just shit happens in wrestling. There's guys who've been paralyzed, like from just like a normal move that like shouldn't necessarily have like been as complicated, and like now a dude's paralyzed and
Stunts gone wrong.
They don't use the pile driver anymore for reasons like that.
Yeah. Except for Undertaker.
I mean, that's like
Undertaker
a
can still use
hit
Tombstone.
to the neck.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Undertaker.
So
He'll bring you back to life.
Right. He's risen from the grave multiple times.
Yep. Through the middle of the ring a few times.
How did you guys feel about the most recent WrestleMania? Do you think that wrestling is still on the right track for you, or?
Because of how long it was, and for other shows that we watched on Saturday, I'm a little I'm a little done with wrestling right now. Not in a bad way. It's just that like I've consumed too much, and I need to like.
It's good in small doses.
Like I need. Well, after a 7-hour show and like a 4.5-hour show the night before, like I'm a little like I need to step away.
That's 11 hours of your life. You're never getting back.
Well, I've come to terms with that.
Technically, we watched another 7 hours of wrestling on Saturday because we watched 2 shows at once. We had like a double TV thing going on because there was 2 shows that were running at the same time that we really wanted. There was a Ring of Honor show, and then there was a WWE's, their developmental brand, which is like their minor league baseball, basically, that's better than WWE.
Oh, yeah.
They had their
NXT.
show, which we didn't even get to talk about. NXT, oh my God. Johnny Gargano, guy that I went to fucking high school with. Yeah, like...
Fuck it, no. Like, let's go. Talk about
NXT,
it. Go ahead.
if you didn't know, stands for next.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think it stands for anything.
It doesn't stand for. It stands for jack shit. They had a every big show like Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. They have an NXT show the night before called Takeover, and they had their big show, and Ring of Honor had also had their big show with the main event. One of their main matches was there was a match that's been built up for about 3 months now with Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, the son of Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, wow.
The American Dream. Where it's essentially like who's the leader of the Bullet Club, which is this generation's version of the NWO.
Yeah. Man, Kenny Omega gets around.
He does.
Yeah, real slut, let me tell you.
He's a real hewer.
He'll wrestle anybody.
Right, yeah.
But if you have a chance to watch Kenny Omega in Japan wrestling.
Japan.
Sound like a fucking announcer from Street Fighter 2. Japan.
If I had to go to Wrestle Kingdom, which is New Japan's version of WrestleMania, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. Their announcers, as you know, you find with a lot of Japanese announcers, Mexican announcers, Spanish announcers, they're very animated.
Yes.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Watching a Japanese wrestling show with a Japanese commentary, not understanding anything, just understanding that when they like call it Brain Buster, it's like Brain Buster! like it's just so much more fun. And they just have this like wonderful sing-songy way that they'll introduce like there's a guy from Japan that's in WWE now. His name's Shinsuke Nakamura. So, you know, they'll just Shinsuke Nakamura when he comes out in the US, but in Japan, it's just like Nakamura Shinsuke. Like, it's just this amazing presentation. I love Japanese wrestling and their fucking weird version of pageantry.
That's half the reason I like a good Japanese animation, man. It's just showmanship when you fight.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you shoot a laser beam out of the palms of your hands, everyone knows it.
Right.
Hame.
Yeah. No, that's not how they do it. It's no. When it's a serious one, it's ka, and then like 20 minutes of other dialogue, and then you get a cut back and you just keep going back and forth.
Teleporting around like 5 minutes later, it's like ha.
You can't shoot it.
Or the second ha.
It'll destroy the earth.
Which ha are we on? I lost track.
One disc later, when he finishes it.
When he drops
Next
like
time
the
on
giant
Dragon Ball Z.
planet-sized key ball.
Oh, fucking, let's not even go into Genki Dama or Spirit Bomb, as it's commonly known.
I call it a key bomb because I've been playing Neo, the samurai Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've been recently playing Mad Max since it's free on PS
It is.
Plus.
It
and
is
I forgot to download
friggin'
that.
amazing. I don't know how I missed out on this game.
You're welcome, Sony, for that free plug. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Sony, give me free things, please.
So,
anyway,
I was gonna say that is wrestling.
And wrestling.
in all of its glory.
And now wrestling can stop. You had a good run.
Yeah.
Well, Dom, Tim, thank you for taking the time to educate us non-wrestling fans in the current state of affairs in wrestling. So, I mean, I've been out of it for like 20 years.
I mean,
so.
it's better than what we kind of. Well, I mean, we poked fun at it for an hour, but like, it's better than what we made it seem.
You kind of peeled back the curtain.
It is inevitably moving forward in a lot of ways, like not the least of which is because Vince McMahon is kind of losing a little bit of power as he gets older.
Yeah.
I was going to say touch with reality.
Well, that, and now that the XFL is going to start again in a year or two.
I heard about that.
Fingers crossed.
Everyone's just kind of assuming that Triple H and Stephanie are going to take over the company once he falls off this
he
mortal
literally
coil.
married the boss's daughter.
Literally.
Like Triple H, like God.
Yeah.
Does Shane have a fucking say in this? Shane's like the prince of the McMahons.
That's why he left, is because he could see the writing on the wall of like Triple H and Steph. Like Steph was getting more power, and that's why he originally left.
Dude, this is actually kind of intriguing. It's like Game of Thrones, but like super hillbilly.
And now that he's come back, like he came back at first on just like strictly like TV capacity, and everything I keep hearing is like he's pushing a little bit more and more, and Steph doesn't
is he gonna
like
like Jon Snow and like come back for the throne? Now I want to watch wrestling. Maybe
you take something relatable, like Game of Thrones.
They actually kind of did that, put it on TV. They actually, like what Dom said earlier, of like making like real stuff and turning it into storylines. When they did the brand split again last year, Stephanie had Raw and Shane had SmackDown.
Oh, geez.
Why can't you just have a Raw SmackDown?
Oh,
ooh,
I like the way you think.
That's the title of an upcoming porn.
Oh, it probably already is.
That's true.
Oh, there's wrestling
starring
porn.
China.
Zombie China.
There is
CG's China.
Sorry, was that insensitive?
No, that exists.
That exists.
There's a wrestling porn with China.
No, I meant a zombie China because she's dead.
Probably.
Avengers, the parody. Just saying.
She was She-Hulk.
It's a Dragon Ball Z porn too.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a Pokemon porn.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, now. All right, gentlemen. All right. Keep it PG here.
We found that, Drake.
Or at least semi R-rated. We don't need to go straight NC-17 here.
You don't want to talk about Dickachu? You don't want to talk about that?
I don't want to talk
next
about
to our
Dickachu.
podcast name. People know what they're getting into.
We're good.
Watch wrestling.
Well,
maybe.
Maybe.
Kinda.
Maybe. To quote the Andy, maybe.
Meh.
Meh. I'll get around to it in 2 or 3 months. It's fine.
I gotta watch my videos first.
Well, gentlemen, thank you again. So we're just gonna tap. Here's like 1, 2, 3. Ding, 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 ding. Hateful Geeks are out. I am one of your many hosts, Phil.
This is Sweeney.
And this is Tim.
And our guest, Dom.
Thank you, Dom. Appreciate you coming.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you have to say a really long O.
Okay.
Tap out.